The original cavemen had primitive boards with square wheels. Not great for rolling, so they started just running and jumping on their boards. They slammed every time. How about you?
This is kind of an unconventional review. Usually I try to cover games in which I have physical copies of, or at least paid for the game in one way or another. This is the first live service game I've ever reviewed, but at least it's in familiar territory for me, as I've been a huge fan of skateboarding games like the Tony Hawk series and Skate. As the fourth entry of what has been a consistently great string of games, this one, simply titled Skate, with a period, is the first new game in 15 years. It's also the first to be a live service game, meaning it's free to play. I originally wrote this one off since I heard it was going to be live service, but a close friend of mine showed me during the game's Season 3. I'm not used to having game seasons. It's just kind of weird to me. Midlife crisis aside, there's a lot to do and some changes made to the Skate formula that are pretty interesting. There's not much in the way of story, but your creative skater enters the city of San Vansterdam, awful name, with an AI companion named V to accompany you. If you're like me, you'll quickly shut her off because she makes comments on everything. V will only talk to you on missions if you turn her dialogue off. She will show you the basics in the first few tutorials, then the game opens up and gives you marked challenges across the map that give you various rewards. Anything from in-game currencies, to which there are 3, or cosmetic items. Once you moved on from the tutorial, the game gives you optional missions you can complete or turn off in the menu. What the game doesn't tell you is these missions are extensions of the tutorial disguised as additional content. Characters from previous entries, like Slappy and Shingo, return for some missions, like they would have in older games, though they aren't there physically. That's not a bad way to get people to learn the deeper mechanics of the game's more complex controls. My only problem is since these missions are still the tutorial, half of my 20 or so hour playtime was taken up by tutorial missions, and I haven't even completed them all yet, and there are a lot of them. The only reason why I kept going was to unlock more stuff and to learn the Dark Slide, where you grind railings with your grip taped down. Thank you, Rodney Mullen.
Lots of options around the shoebox feature, but there's something special about a mani to flip in, flip out, if you know what I mean. See what I mean? Flip in, flip outs are pretty fun. And you can win contests, too.
Skate 3 was the first game where it seemed like the original developers, Black Box, shifted their focus from simulation skateboarding to a more arcade gameplay style, focusing on the accessibility for newcomers with things like faster gameplay, more forgiving landings, and even more comedy. I'm not sure if it was intentional, but Skate 3 was also buggy in the most entertaining of ways without breaking the game. I got into Skate 3 originally with this in mind. Now Skate, with a period, is the same way. It feels like the little sister to Skate 3. Jumping back into the control scheme Skate pioneered, it doesn't skip a beat. It was like riding a bike after years of pushing along a scooter. As someone who has difficulty jumping from the Tony Hawk games to quite literally any other extreme sports game, Skate was easy to learn and get back into. The mechanics haven't changed. When you line yourself up and time your ollie just right, the simple act of grinding is exhilarating. Skate is still fun and effortless. I could see myself coming back to play every now and again to see what cool stuff dropped each season. With that level of accessibility comes artistic choices. You unlock additional items through boxes that give you random items. This is a guesstimate, but I'd say at least 80% of the unlocks are either girly items like flowers, unicorns, things with purple or pink, or they're gender neutral. There are some more masculine traditional guy-related items, but not as many as I would have hoped. As has been a recent trend in games, you don't have the ability to choose your gender. Despite this, I think they handled the custom skater options quite well. As a live service game, I understand that they want to cast the widest net they possibly can to make money. Considering most live service games don't stick around very long, I actually don't mind how the character creation is, since I consider myself more traditional. I made a male and female character I can go back and forth between at any time, and they both look the way I wanted them to. It's leagues better than the character creation in Saints Row the reboot. No matter what I did, my guy always looked way too feminine for some reason. I know it's a touchy subject talking about gender and stuff like that in the modern day, but Skate does a pretty good job with pleasing everybody. I just wish they had more cool items to unlock for more male-leaning characters to unlock at the start of the game. Although I wouldn't say the game's glitchy by any means, in fact I think it's quite polished, there are some strange glitches that I encountered while playing. If you have missions on and you retry or complete any of the goals on the map, the game will go to a black screen until the narrator is done telling you that they have missions for you. There was a challenge I had to redo a few times, and the game made me wait over a minute with a black screen until the guy was done telling me he had more things to add to my quote-unquote bag of tricks, before I had the opportunity to retry the goal. If you turn the story mode off, this shouldn't still happen, right? Well, it doesn't most of the time, but I cannot recall if it was when I rebooted the game back up or just happened randomly. But the same guy returned with his long speech after trying to retry another goal, even after turning the story missions off. The next time I hopped on for a session, I double-checked to make sure no story missions were selected. Then I decided to climb the tallest building in the game to the tippy top, except the game had other plans. The game randomly faded to black halfway up the tower, a loading icon appeared, and it took me to the story mission I already made sure was turned off. I jumped back to my previous location since I set my marker there, and it moved me off of stable ground to the side of the building so all I could do was fall. This only happened once, thankfully, but it sure was irritating since it takes about 10 minutes to climb when you know what you're doing. It's as if the game wanted to say, you're going to do this mission whether you like it or not. Skate has this weird thing where it doesn't save your selections sometimes. I tried to turn music off for the sake of recording for the video, and music just kicked back on randomly. Even after turning the volume down all the way from the settings menu. Other than that, the only other glitches are uncommon and don't affect gameplay in most cases when they show up.
Barrier battle handled with a bus bash thrown in for good measure.
As stated earlier, this is a live service game. None of the previous installments were, though I remember having the option in Skate 3 to pay, I believe like $7 to unlock everything. Something cheat codes would have given you a decade prior. Considering the game is free and the amount of cosmetic items that are unlockable without having to spend money is quite vast, I believe there is good value here. If you don't mind the fact this game is published and owned by Electronic Arts, throwing out some money to support the developers would be a good thing to do. The only real issue for me in throwing money at Skate, besides the Saudi Arabian acquisition, is how current developers, Full Circle, comprised of original developers and younger talent, had mass layoffs in 2026. The prices for the Season Pass and other purchasable options are pretty standard across other popular free-to-play titles. I would recommend this one to anyone who enjoys skateboarding games, whether you have money or not. If you would have told me any of the previous installments would continue to get content updates, I would have probably shrieked in pure joy before getting lightheaded and passing out. This is Skate for PlayStation 5.